Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is a Grammy award-winning singer-songwriter. She's an actor and a member of one of the biggest groups in music history, Destiny's Child. Now she's opening up and speaking out about her mental health journey and as an advocate on a mission to bring awareness to mental illness, something that impacts 1 in 5 people across Canada.
Please welcome to The Social the author of the candid new memoir entitled Checking In, How Getting Real About Depression Saved My Life and Can Save Yours, the one and only Michelle Williams. Welcome to The Social.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Hi, Michelle. We are so thrilled that you joined us today to speak about your new book. So Checking In is courageous. It's vulnerable. It's such an important read. And so first of all, thank you so much for writing it. Why was this the right time in your life to share your story with the world?
Well, I just knew that I wanted to help people bring language to maybe what they're feeling or what they felt in the past, or maybe what a loved one could be going through. Because I didn't have language for it in the 7th grade when I can look back and be like, well, when did you first start experiencing symptoms of depression? And I think way back to the 7th grade, but I did not get a formal diagnosis until I was in my 30s.
Wow. And you write about that a lot, that even though in your memory you could remember it all the way back then into early adolescence, but it was July of 2018 when you actually checked yourself into a facility for depression, and you released a statement saying that you were going in for help, you were seeking help. What was going through your mind at that stage in your journey?
In that stage of my journey, just sheer hopelessness, wanting to be done, or feeling like I'd done all that I could do within life, and I definitely did not release the statement out of joy and excitement. I released the statement, I was kind of forced to release the statement. There was a media entity that I guess got wind that I had checked myself into a facility. And so instead of letting them tell it first, I was like, no, let me tell it. I would have eventually told it. I didn't want to tell it in the hospital, but, I had to tell it. So, I don't want the world or anybody to think that I wasn't taking my hospitalization seriously and that I just released it because I wanted to be in the press in that way. But it was a statement that had to be released so that no one told my story for me.
Michelle, you talked about when you were younger, not having the language to talk about mental health. And so for the language for your book, checking in, these are the 2 words that you're really focusing on. So what does the idea of checking in mean to you? And how do we know when we should be checking in with ourselves?
There are 3 pillars to checking in that I write about in the book. Check in with yourself, meaning you're self-aware with how you're doing and how you're feeling. I do that a minimum of 3 times a day. First, when I wake up in the morning, I'm processing how I'm feeling, and then the other pillar is checking in with others. Check in with someone that holds you accountable, and then just check in with others, see how they're doing, see what they're doing, how they are emotionally and mentally, and then check in with God. It's just my moment of praying and just talking to God and just saying, hey, I'm overwhelmed, or, I'm so grateful for my life.
That sounds like a full service check-in approach with yourself, with your loved ones, with God. I want to focus on the loved ones part of it because audio recordings, you posted them from your Destiny's Child bandmates onto Instagram. It was all of you checking in on each other in a group chat. And in the clip, Beyonce says that you're inspirational and that they are so proud to see you share your advice with the world. Kelly said the greatest thing Destiny's Child gave her was the gift of friendship with all of you. So how does it make you feel when you hear that?
It makes me feel awesome. We are always talking about the gift of friendship and how it's been 21 years of the gift of friendship and sisterhood. And we are just, kind of like, wow, has it been that long? Are we really the women now that are like, girl, we've been friends 21 years, because, I heard my mom or other older people say stuff like that. And I'm like, we're the people that are now saying, girl, we've been friends 21 years. But that's a blessing. And so I hope it just encourages people. Hopefully you have some safe people where 20 years later, you're like, wow, we've been friends 20 years.
We're going to stick with Destiny's Child for just a moment, because you actually were writing about how, the band, when you joined, you guys just skyrocketed to fame. And you actually did, at some point in your journey, reach out to someone on the team and told them you were feeling like you could be depressed. And that person, not the ladies that we see on the screen, said, well, what do you have to be depressed about? You just signed a multi-million-dollar deal. So, that statement, for someone who doesn't understand mental illness and depression specifically, like, how does that kind of statement impact when you have actually found the courage to say something in the first place?
Understand when a person tells you that they're down or they're feeling depressed, and you're like, no, you just got promoted, or you just got married, or y'all just moved into your dream home. It's like they want you to see all the good things that you do have, because they don't want you focusing on the bad or what could, bring you down. And they were sharing with me like, hey, Michelle, now that we know what we know about depression, back then the response would have been totally, totally different. So at that moment when it was said to me, Michelle, no, you got great things going on for you, it kind of helped me snap out of it a little bit. But it made me rehearse what I did in the 7th grade. Well, maybe it's just puberty. Because for me, or hormonal, because for me at that time in Destiny's Child, I was like, well, maybe I'm just tired and homesick. And I was those things as well. But that was a moment where those symptoms of depression, kind of knocked on my door, like, still here, even with the touring, even with the Barbie dolls, depression, we're still here. So when a person does say, hey, I'm possibly dealing with depression, I think the response should be, how can I help you in this time? What do you feel you need? And how can I be a person? What can I do for you? Versus giving them their resume and how well they're doing. I already know how good I'm doing. That doesn't take away what I'm feeling.
I want to sort of explore that idea a little bit more, how good you're doing, because I do think there are a lot of people out there who think, once I land the perfect job, or once I find the perfect partner, once I finish school, then I'll feel better. Almost as though like achieving some sort of perfect life will help with our moods and be more satisfied with ourselves. What would you say to that?
Don't put your healing in the hands of what you can attain. Don't put your healing in the hands of performance, meaning if I do this, I'll get that. Put your healing in the hands of the work that you need to do, of why you are probably having certain responses in the first place. Well, what do you mean responses? Well, when a person is depressed, you respond to things in a certain way. And it's like, well, let's get to the root of the depression. If you can, some of the depression is chemical. It could be you're depressed because you lost your loved one, you lost a job, you lost a relationship, or you were abused in any and every kind of way. So depression is a response to some of those things that I've mentioned. But if you don't know how to process it correctly, or if you don't have language for it, or you just keep putting it off, I just think the intensity of it intensifies and it increases.
You've shared so much in your mental health journey, and it'll go on, I'm sure, for life. So what is it that you would like to share the most with others about everything you've learned thus far in your journey?
Hoping the shame of what you're going through, if you feel any, is totally muted and silenced. And that bravery and strength and courage are amplified should you choose to say, you know what, I want to go process and uproot this anger, uproot this lingering sadness that's going on.
Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time to have this important conversation. We really appreciate it.
Wow. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Checking in, How Getting Real About Depression Saved My Life and Can Save Yours is out now, and we'll be right back.